Hey, it's Shari. Welcome to Everyone's Talking Money. Hey everyone, welcome back to Everyone's Talking Money. I'm your host, Shari, and today we're diving into one of those nobody warned you about this topics. We're talking about life's crazy expensive phases. Oftentimes, these phases will come with a Hallmark card, but the Hallmark card is usually just congratulating you. Instead, it should really come with a note that says, hey, things are about to get really tight because you're entering an expensive phase. You know when it's tight, when you blink and suddenly your bank account's looking like it went on a juice cleanse. It's empty, exhausted, wondering what's just happened, and it's also probably a little cranky. We're going to talk today about everything from college debt to buying homes, raising kids, that midlife, what am I even doing with my life crisis? And yes, even retirement. So grab your coffee, your wine, your $30 emotional support water bottle, whatever is getting you through it, and let's jump in. Life comes in phases. There's the my parents pay for everything phase. That's a real fun one. But then there's the my parents made me get a job phase, which awkwardly dumps you into the I guess I have to pay for my own cell phone bill now phase. And suddenly, boom, welcome to adulthood. Adulthood is full of phases like living alone, living with a significant other, marriage, children, and they certainly do not go in expected order. And oftentimes we repeat those phases. Whether you're past these phases, stuck right in the middle, or watching them come at you like a freight train, just know we've got your back. And if you know someone else who needs a financial BFF, send them this episode because money's tough enough. No one should have to do it alone. So let's talk about the broke college kid phase. What's funny though is we may not necessarily realize we're broke when we are in that phase, but looking back, oh yeah, we were broke. Remember when we thought adulthood was just late night pizza and making it to our 10 a.m. class? Not so much. It's obviously not a shocker. That's not adulthood. That was our warm up lap. We could stay up late. We could essentially do whatever we wanted as long as we fulfilled those obligations known as class. But it turns out adulthood actually means drowning in student loans and realizing ramen is not a sustainable meal plan. College is that weird phase where things feel free. We can go to the cafeteria, swipe our ID card, and have as many chicken fingers as we wanted. But we knew it wasn't free. We knew someone was paying for it, likely our parents or our future selves, but it still felt freeing. It still felt like we could do whatever we wanted, eat whatever we wanted, and we didn't have a bill presented to us at the end of our meal. We had access to events, the gym. Again, someone was paying for it, but it still just felt free. I still remember, though, the times when I did have to use my own debit card and not my student ID to pay for things, that I would hold my breath every time I'd swipe my card at the checkout, praying, please don't be declined. Please don't be declined. And then the victory that I felt, you could almost hear the confetti going off that I had enough money to pay for whatever purchase I was making at that period of time. I mean, how embarrassing was it when your debit card would be declined? But the funny thing was, it happened to everyone. All of my friends were in the same exact boat. But again, we didn't realize we were broke. So this kind of felt just normal. Like, okay, I need to wait until the next holiday or when I get paid to have more money in my bank account. And then it would just get spent and the vicious cycle would just continue. Also, avoiding ATMs like the plague because paying a $3 fee to get $20 back, it's just insult to injury. I remember one time I was at an ATM in the big warning came up that you have to pay a fee to access your money. And it asked pretty much something, is this okay? And I said, no, it's not okay. And then my transaction was canceled and I couldn't figure out why. Well, my saying, no, this is not okay, was actually me saying, no, I'm not going to pay the $3 to get my own money back. I really do loathe them. But think about back when you were in college and how money wasn't exactly real because you could swipe your student ID and get access to the cafeteria or get access to concerts and events or to the gym. That was a time where it kind of prepared us for adulthood, where credit cards, we swipe credit cards right now and they are painless, right? Until the bill comes due. But that introduced us to that concept of not using cash for everything. And the only time money felt real, or a lack thereof felt real, was when our transactions would get declined at a store. Here's a financial reality check for the broke college student. The Federal Reserve is telling us the average student loan is $39,000. Another reality check. Credit card companies prey on college students with the free t-shirt scam. I was subject to it. I fell victim to it, and my friends did as well. I remember walking through campus and there would be lines and lines of tables with all of these goofy t-shirts with funny sayings on it. And all you had to do was sign up for a credit card, fill out your information, you get this freebie. It was a no-brainer. I mean, why not get this silly t-shirt when all you had to do is put your personal information on? I mean, talk about how predatory if we really sit back and think about it, because there also isn't a financial literacy class attached to the t-shirt. We had to figure it out on our own. And I had friends that were raking up credit card debt on these credit cards, and they didn't even understand how credit worked. And they ended up graduating with more debt than just their student loans. So how to survive this really expensive period of time? Apply for scholarships and grants every single year. Obviously, we did a good job our senior year of high school applying for scholarships and grants. You can still apply for scholarships and grants every single year that you're in college, and that can help offset some of the major expenses of college. Obviously, tuition being the biggest one, but room and board, that adds up. That gets really pricey, and it's either a bill your future self is going to have to pay or a bill your parents have been paying. Pick up a side job. See where you can work on campus. I had a job. Now, this is going to show my age a little bit, but I had a job on campus where I would deliver TVs on push carts to classes. That was my job. I had a list of what classes and what buildings needed a TV with a VCR or a DVD player that day, and I would deliver the TV then. And it allowed me to not freak out so much when my bank account was getting low because I was replenishing the money I was spending. If you do take out student loans, actually read your loan terms. Know what this interest can cost you. Many loans start accruing interest the minute they're written. So you are generating interest on your loans, even though you don't have a payment while you are still in school. So here's a little mindset shift for the really expensive phase known as college. Student loans are a mortgage on your financial freedom. Treat them with respect and caution. Do not take out the credit card just because you get the free t-shirt. Trust me, the free t-shirt, or when you're in adulthood, the 15% off your purchase or whatever shiny object they're waving at you to open up a card, it's usually not worth it. So now we're in the I'm an adult phase. And I say I'm an adult with quotes around it because even still, we're not full on adulting yet. That's another phase down the line. But we're an adult. We graduate, we get our first job, you get your first apartment, and then your first paycheck lands in your bank account and you feel rich for about 3 hours. Then reality hits. You know the quote, the best way to teach kids about taxes is to eat 30% of their ice cream? Some say Bill Murray said it, some say he didn't. Either way, it's painfully accurate. And I try to teach my children that lesson every single time they get an ice cream cone. When you You have rent to pay, groceries to buy, gas for your car. You have benefits and taxes that come out of your paycheck. So that salary they told you you were getting when you took on this job, that's not even close to what you're actually receiving. And you also have this mysterious thing called a 401k that no one in HR really explained to you, but they told you should do it. But you're like, retirement, I just started my job. Like, that's a really long ways away. Am I really thinking about retirement week one of my first job out of college? When you receive your quote as far as what your salary is going to be, just know that is not really what you are going to be paid. That is your gross income. Your net income is what your bank account actually receives after all of those deductions. Again, taxes, benefits, retirement plan, parking, using the company gym, all of those things come out of your paycheck and you're receiving the net. And the net is what you have left to live off of. A mistake many people make is that they think of their gross salary is what they're actually receiving, and they make plans and get into purchases or rental agreements based off of the gross. It is not. What you receive is what you should be making all of your plans and your budget about. So here's a financial reality check. Rent prices have jumped 23% since 2019. 70% of young adults regret splurging on starter lifestyle buys like trendy furniture and decor. So basically, they bought Instagram worthy apartments and paid for them with maxed out credit cards. But here's how to survive our first phase of adulting. Budget like your life depends on it. Do not get into rental agreements, car purchases, anything that's a large recurring expense without first understanding and creating a spending strategy. 50% of your take-home income should go to needs. That's the money that's actually hitting your paycheck. And this is where traditional budgeting fails us. They think we only need rent, utilities, groceries, car payment, insurance. No, there's a lot of other things we need just to survive. Netflix could be a need. Internet, we obviously need. Getting your hair done, it could be a need for you. So whatever your needs are, be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself when you create your budget, you're going to set yourself up for some hard times in the future. So be truly honest with yourself. What do I need to spend my money on? And that, again, those needs should represent about 50% of your income. 30% of your income should go to wants, the stuff that makes life better, but we could live without it. Again, traditional budgeting makes us feel bad for going out to eat or buying takeout. But sometimes we're working really late at night where we have a lot of things that we need to get done and we need to get some takeout just so we can have food in our stomach that night. And that's okay. Do you need to do that 5 nights a week? Probably not. 1 night a week? Yeah, that's realistic. So the other 4 nights, they're really wants. If you want to have takeout for 4 other nights of the week, that's a want. So what are the things that make life better? But if push came to shove, you could live without it. So if you lost your job, for example, you could live without it. Wants should represent about 30% of your take-home income. We're building in a lifestyle buffer. We're building in things that make life better, but we can live without it. So again, 50% of your take-home income goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, 20% goes to savings. So building up your emergency fund for a rainy day. If you do want to buy a house at some point, that could be part of it, but build your emergency fund first and then focus on those other things. And this is completely separate from your 401k. Your 401k comes out of your paycheck before you even receive it. So sign up for your 401k, contribute up to the max, and then also try to save on top of that. If you get into the habit now of saving 20% of your take-home income when expenses are more manageable and you get into the habit of it, things will be a lot easier for you in the future. Here's another way to survive, which this may be a hot take, but roommates equal financial freedom. Embrace it. So instead of 100% of the water bill being on you, the electricity bill being on you, the rent being on you, split it. Find a way that you have a roommate so you can split those expenses. That just gives you a little bit more freedom and a little bit more flexibility to save, and your future self will appreciate it. Plus, aren't roommates like a constant source of entertainment anyway? Another way to survive, hold off on the fancy nesting syndrome. Secondhand furniture is financial gold. One, furniture is just made better the older it is. So look on Facebook Marketplace, check out your thrift stores, your secondhand stores, and get furniture that has character. It's not made out of particle board. You don't have to assemble it, and you're likely going to get it a lot cheaper than the brand new stuff that you have to assemble on your own. And automate your savings. Even if it's just $10 a week and you have to manually make sure you save your other 20% of your income, automate. That way it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't even have to think about it. Then as things get more and more comfortable for you, increase that automated amount. So here's our mindset shift. Your first paycheck isn't a ticket to living your best life and treating yourself every time a paycheck comes in. It's your first real step towards financial independence. Have a strategy for every dollar that comes in, and that's only going to create discipline that you're going to carry throughout adulthood. So, how to survive this really expensive part of life, which is getting married, bringing finances together. It's super stressful, and you could have been doing things your own way for all of these years and feel like it works. And then you all of a sudden have to blend finances with someone else, answer to someone else, and they may think completely differently about money than you do. I actually can guarantee that they probably do think differently about money than you do. Talk openly about money early. Before you even think about merging bank accounts, merge your financial goals. If you can't talk about money before I do, it's going to be 10 times harder after. So, what do we want to achieve? How much money do we feel comfortable with having in our checking account? Do we want to keep things separate? Do we want to have a checking account for you, one for me, and then one for our joint expenses? If so, how much do we contribute to that joint account? Well, what if one partner makes significantly more than the other? It's not necessarily fair to expect both partners to contribute the same dollar amount. So then do you do a percentage of your take home income goes into the joint account? Or do you just split expenses down the middle and it kind of is what it is? Talk about these things. How much money should we have in an emergency fund? Rule of thumb is an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses. One of you may really like the idea of having 6 months sitting in an emergency fund put away with lock and key. Or you may really like the idea of 3 months, because why do you want your money sitting in the bank collecting cobwebs? Talk about these things. What do we want our money to do for us? How are we going to handle day-to-day expenses? It's important to set that foundation now while you're still in the marriage bliss, engagement bliss, planning wedding bliss. Have those tough conversations now, and that way you're setting the foundation for you for your future. Also, set a wedding budget that's about you, not about Instagram. A beautiful marriage is way greater than a fancy party. So here's our mindset shift. Marriage is about partnership, and that includes financial partnership. Plan your wedding and your life with a budget and a vision, not just a vibe. So again, these phases of life can happen in the order I'm talking to you about, or they can be completely mixed up, and that's okay. Now we're going to move on to home ownership. We've survived our other phases. We've survived kind of adulting fresh out of college. We survived when we were super duper poor in college, and now we're starting to make big kid money, but we also have big kid expenses such as home ownership. So what's next after we've been working for a while, earning a paycheck? We got to follow that American dream. We're buying a home. And spoiler, it's a little less dream, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of property taxes. So, scrolling Zillow at midnight convinced you that you're one click away from living your best fixer upper life until you tour one house and realize you can't even afford the doorbell. Here's the financial reality check. Median US home prices was $400,000. So, how to survive? Rent versus buy based on math, not pressure, and not emotions. I shared with you last episode how I rushed into buying a house because it felt like it was something I was supposed to do. Mathematically speaking, renting makes a lot of sense. Find a place that you like, that you can see yourself living in for a few years, and get comfortable there. Even if that means putting a little bit of money, and I mean little bit of money into it, maybe your landlord will allow you to paint it a color you'd like, as long as when you move out, you return it to the original color. So put some touches on it that make it your own. Those tiny investments could end up saving you a lot of money in the end because you're making your home yours versus going out and buying a house. The math on renting makes a lot of sense. When the dishwasher breaks, you are not paying to replace it. You are not paying the property taxes. You are not paying for repairs. So really sit down and look at your budget and say, we're spending X amount on home expenses each month, and that's it. When you own a home, your home expenses are your mortgage, all those random repairs, the fixing up that you need to do. So that's a lot more than we expect it to be. Just because everyone else is buying doesn't mean it's the right move for you. Renting is power when you do it strategically and you have the right mindset about it. Here's your mindset shift. A home is not a status symbol. It's a financial decision. Buy it when you're ready, emotionally and financially. Make sure that you can put down the down payment and still have your emergency fund fully funded. And so you have extra cash to do repairs. You will enjoy homeownership so much more knowing you have the cash and the cushion behind you to back you up instead of rushing into it because it just felt like I was supposed to do so. You know the song. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby and the baby carriage. Adulthood's remix sounds more like first comes stress, then comes debt, then comes a 30-year mortgage, a $33,000 wedding, and a kid who needs $500 worth of soccer gear at age 3. In no particular order, just vibes and bills. So let's talk about the next expensive phase of our life. Babies. Are they adorable? Yes. Are they expensive? Absolutely. You think you're ready until you price out daycare, which could be just as much as your take-home income, by the way. Diapers, formula, doctor's visits, and realize your tiny, adorable human costs as much as a second mortgage payment. Here's the financial reality check. A first-year baby costs $12,000 to $20,000. So how to survive this and how to prepare for this really expensive phase of our lives. Build a baby emergency fund early. The sooner you start, the less stressful those what if moments would feel like. Also, budget for more than just diapers. Budget for the daycare, the medical bills, the birthday parties that you'll have to host at the trampoline parks. They're all real and they're all expensive. Babies are a joy and a financial commitment. Planning ahead lets you spend more time snuggling and less time stressing. So just to recap that super expensive, we're officially adulting time in our lives, marriage equals financial partnership and priorities. Buying a house is strategic math, not emotional buying. And babies equal an emergency fund and realistic budgeting. So now we're in midlife madness, career climbs, crises, caregiving. You're mid-career getting raises, promotions, but somehow your money feels tighter and tighter. Because teenagers are expensive, parents are aging, healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and honestly, you're kind of dreaming about quitting everything and opening a candle shop in Vermont. The daydream is real. until you remember you have a mortgage and two teenagers who think money grows on trees. Just yesterday, my 11-year-old daughter came home and presented me with a flyer with beautiful pictures of her on it. Now, mind you, I already paid for school pictures at the beginning of the year. I spent a lot of money on one sheet of picture that's hanging proudly on our stairwell, but she came home. These pictures were different. She is graduating elementary school in just a month, but she was not in a cap and gown. She was just in an adorable dress with a pretty smile. So I said, okay, let me take a look at this picture that you'd like me to buy. $55 for a digital image. $55. Is that insane? I think it's insane. So not only do I have to pay $55 for the digital image, but then I have to go pay to have it printed out at CVS to hang on my wall. Every single day, kids come home with another expense, something you've never budgeted for, something you didn't even know existed until they come home and you just have to buy it for them. You just have to pay for it. It is important for kids to realize that money does not grow on trees and to understand that things are expensive. And sometimes it's just not in the household budget to purchase them at that point in time. You do have to be very sensitive, though, to the conversation that you're having with your kids about money, because you don't want to make them feel like money is ever tight in your household. Because if you've heard your parents arguing about money or having negative comments or interactions about money, that then develops a negative relationship that you have with your money. So you do want to break the cycle, but you also want to teach your children not every purchase is urgent. And we do need to choose some things over others in order to be financially responsible and do things our future self would appreciate. So here's our financial reality check for midlife madness. If you're in your 40s and 50s right now, there's a good chance you're part of what's called the sandwich generation. No, sadly, it has nothing to do with eating sandwiches. It means you're supporting both your aging parents and your kids at the same time. And that's a lot. According to Pew Research, around 60% of Americans in their 40s and 50s are feeling that squeeze. You're helping your parents manage doctor's appointments, prescriptions, maybe even assisted living bills, while simultaneously funding braces, college applications, TikTok-worthy birthday parties, and car insurance for teenagers who still think the yellow light means speed up. And here's the kicker. Healthcare costs don't just creep up as you get older. They triple after 40. Yeah, happy birthday. Here's your higher insurance premium. A study from Fidelity shows that the average couple retiring today should expect to spend over $315,000 just on healthcare costs during retirement. That's not a typo. And that doesn't even cover long-term care like nursing homes or in-home help, which can run between $4,000 to $8,000 a month. So if you're feeling stretched thin, you're not imagining it. You're in the most financially demanding phase of life, where your wallet is basically playing tug of war for birthday parties and healthcare costs. So what do you do when you feel like everyone's hands are in your pocket? You get proactive. You start thinking differently about your money, your career, your health, and your boundaries. Because survival mode isn't the goal. Financial resilience is. And that starts right now, even if you're just realizing how much you've been carrying. So how can we survive midlife madness and the tug of war? First, max out retirement accounts while you can. Be sure to pay your future self no matter what. Build up a savings that gives you choices. So non-retirement savings and non-529 college savings plan savings. So essentially just after-tax savings, the money that's left over from your paycheck. Save it. It gives you the flexibility. You could use that money for college. You can use that money for a birthday party. You can use that money to pay for your parents' long-term care. You can use it for whatever you'd like, but it gives you that flexibility that you're not being penalized for accessing it and using it for something that's non-retirement or non-college tuition. By building that money up, you'll have the confidence to know that when things go tight, you have a safety net to fall back on. Also, take care of your health before it costs you. Go to those doctor appointments. Yes, you have to pay a copay, but it's worth it. Start going to a chiropractor if you feel like that would be beneficial to you. Make sure you're going to the dentist twice a year. Just like a car, we have to perform regular maintenance on ourselves. It may cost a little bit up front, but it could cost us big time if we don't do it now. Midlife isn't a crisis, it's a pivot point, and flexibility is your secret weapon. So you made it through midlife crisis, but now retirement is creeping around the corner. And here's the truth bomb no one likes to talk about. Retirement isn't a beach vacation. It's not all umbrella drinks, golf carts, and mornings spent feeding the birds. Retirement today is a full-on financial phase of life, and it could last 20, 30, and even 40 years, depending on how you take care of yourself. Here's what we're up against. Average life expectancy right now is 79 years, which is amazing until you realize you need to fund all of those extra years yourself somehow. Social Security is only going to get us so far. And as much as people say, I'm going to spend less money in retirement, I don't need as much income, I respectfully disagree. Are you really going to want to have less fun and spend less money and travel less when you're in retirement and not working versus your working days? I don't think so. You should really plan on needing an income equivalent to your income that you're earning today. Again, what you're actually receiving, not the income that is pre-taxes, 401k benefits. Retirement isn't just about replacing your paycheck. It's about covering your health care, your living expenses, your fund money. And as I mentioned earlier, healthcare costs in retirement, easily $300,000 or more out of pocket. And that $300,000, that doesn't even touch long-term care costs, nursing homes, assisted living, home health aides, which can easily add another $50,000 to $100,000 a year if you need serious help later in life. So retirement isn't just about replacing your paycheck. It's about covering your health care, your living expenses, your fund money, and possibly your adult kids still asking for just a little help with a down payment or knocking on the door, hey, can I come back and live with you for a little bit? So how do we survive this expensive phase known as retirement? 1, calculate your real retirement number, not your neighbor's number, not your coworker's number, your number. Use a retirement calculator, or better yet, work with a financial planner to figure out what you'll actually need based on your dream lifestyle. Also, downsize earlier than you think. The McMansion with 5 guest rooms and a massive lawn might look great now, but it's a maintenance money pit later. Smaller homes equal lower utility bills, lower maintenance costs, lower taxes, less stuff, and honestly, more freedom. And protect yourself legally. If you don't already have a will, a power of attorney, and healthcare directive in place, get it done yesterday. Long-term care insurance isn't sexy to think about, but neither is wiping out your savings based on a medical emergency. Here's the mindset shift. Retirement isn't the end of your working life. It's the beginning of your freedom phase. But freedom requires a plan. Freedom requires strategy. Freedom requires you to take this seriously now, even if retirement still feels way off in the distance. Because one day you're 45 thinking, I have plenty of time. And the next day you're 65 wondering why no one warned you that Medicare doesn't cover hearing aids or dental work. Bottom line is, the best retirement plan isn't just saving money, it's building options for your future self. And your future self deserves a life that's rich in experience, not stress.